All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to the Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here with my guy, Eddie Ortiz.
Yo.
And Trevor Twidwell.
How's it going, guys?
We have a fun-filled show for you guys tonight. Needless to say, this week, it seems like every week since we started the show, there's been so much news that has come out that, initially when we started doing the show in the offseason, we thought, we're going to have to find things to talk about. We're going to have to find a way to survive this until we get into the season when things start to get real juicy. But I feel like we're getting a little spoiled here because there's been a lot of stories, not just in the NFL, but the NBA and the MLB. A lot of things we want to touch on tonight, so we're going to get right into it. But we are here in the KC Beardco Studios. We have a very special guest that's going to be coming up in the next segment. Our guy, Clay Wendler, owner and operator of Red Tribe Cinema. So we've been looking forward to this all week. I know you guys have been as well. So we're going to have him on, and we're going to talk some sports with him as well. But let's get right to it, guys. And, of course, we're going to start with the local stuff. Because that's what you guys really care about. And so that's what we're going to touch on. The biggest name in Kansas City sports is Patrick Mahomes. There's no question about it. And we're going to be talking about this guy for many years to come. And the things we can talk about on the field are so easy, and there's so much to talk about. We can talk about the wow factor. We can talk about the highlights. We can talk about what he's going to bring to this team and to this city and how great of a guy he is. But something I want to talk about tonight, and it's kind of hard to wrap my mind around it, and for various reasons. But the biggest one is, I guess it makes sense to me why the fan base feels this way, because we've lacked it for so long. And I'm not talking about just in football. I'm not just talking about in the quarterback position. I'm talking about just sports celebrities in general. This has been a very humble town. They love their team. They love their players, but they've never really had a guy like Patrick Mahomes. And I think we all can agree to that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So Patrick Mahomes is very unprecedented, not only with his talent, not only what he's able to do as a leader of the team, but who he is as a person. And that in totality is going to bring a lot of attention to him, a lot of attention to this team, and a lot of attention to this city. And you would think automatically everyone's on board with that. Because everybody loves that Kansas City gets love. Man, why don't we get enough love nationally? That's always been the talking point. I grew up hearing that. I even used to say it myself. But now that we actually have that guy here in Kansas City, it's so weird to see on social media fans that are almost opposed to it. Now, it's not one fan in particular. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I know I've talked with you guys a little bit about it, and Clay will attest to it later. But it's pretty shocking, even though we address the fact that this city has never really had a guy like him, that they're almost opposed to the thought that we have a superstar in the midst. And what I mean by that is, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on this, but he was at the Lakers game this week. LeBron James is shouting him out, calling him the MVP on Twitter. That's a big thing. People are seeing him selling his merchandise. He's getting endorsements with Pizza Hut. He's getting these endorsements left and right. And you think that's just a natural thing. It's going to happen with a guy who just won MVP, had one of the greatest seasons of all time. But for some weird reason, it's almost like frowned upon in Kansas City. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on that. Why do you think that is? Why do you think? And again, it's not the entire fan base. Let's get this straight. There are a lot of us that are in full support of it and very excited about it, quite frankly, are us included. I'm assuming so. Yeah. But there has been people out there that are almost afraid of it. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on why you think that is, that Kansas City people, Kansas City fans are a little timid with this idea of him becoming a global figure, a superstar in the midst of Kansas City. Eddie?
I just think the way he grew in just 1 year, I think the fans were not expecting the kind of feedback that he's getting from not just Kansas City, the metro area, the Midwest. You're talking nationally. Right, and internationally, because I've watched soccer games in Europe and Mexico, and all they talk about is Patrick Mahomes for like maybe 30 seconds to up to 10 minutes. And I don't think the fans were ready for that. And to see him get all this endorsements and being super huge, I just don't think the fans were ready for it. But I mean, to me, I'm glad. I'm happy for him. We finally got that quarterback. We finally got that franchise player we needed, and I don't see why people can be opposed to that.
It's for me. It's simple, man. We're a small market. We'd never have had anything like this. We've never had a big dog come into a market like that, and it's change. It makes us uncomfortable, So certain fans are going to react a certain way. I'm ready for it, man. This is the moment I've been waiting for all my life. Being a small market, we always want that recognition. Now that we're getting now that we're getting it, we're all like, freaking out. Like, wait. Now he's getting all the endorsements. Now he's all over TV. It's like we're gonna have to get used to that for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's just uncomfortable. It's just being uncomfortable and not dealing with the change. It's like when we had, the Royals won the World Series. The parade was just like chaotic. The city wasn't ready for that. We're not used to, winning like that or being, noticed like that. So I think it's just an uncomfortable thing for us. And it's just something that's going to take it's like being in a new relationship, upgrading from one woman, to another or something, or whoever, another, partner, and they're higher maintenance or something, in a good way, so it just takes more effort, it takes more work to be, to prepare for this. We're so used to mediocrity.
I'm glad you brought up the relationship side of it, because that's actually what I was going to allude to as well, is the fact that, fans brought him in, as soon as he was drafted, obviously people had concerns, but there was a level of excitement they've never felt before. And so naturally people embraced him immediately. So much so that, it forced Alex Smith to have his best season of all time, because they knew the fans were waiting for this kid. Mm-hmm. And so I understand that, there's a trust issue there, almost like, oh, he's going to eventually leave us. That's the sense I get from a lot of fans, like, oh, eventually he's going to get too big for Kansas City. But see, the way I see Patrick, and I don't mean to give him too much credit, because it's not like I know him. It's not like we're best friends or anything like that. But the sense I get from Patrick is he knows, he gets it. He gets that this is a business. He gets that he has to get out there and make things happen immediately.
Well, and he waited too. It wasn't like, even like his agent, I forget his name. Anyways, he was talking about in his first year, he was already getting endorsement calls.
Yeah.
Just from being who he is and having the agent he has, he was already turning down, he wasn't taking endorsements yet. And now that he went out there and shined, he knew he can get damn near any endorsement he wanted to, which is the beautiful part of it. It's poetic, man.
He bet on himself, and that's why I'm going to give him credit for what he's now we're seeing him obtain is the notoriety of being a superstar. He earned it the authentic way,
It's a very humble thing. Yeah. It should only be a positive thing. And people that are flipping into a negative, it's just those are people that aren't ready, or they're casual fans. They're not ready, or they're casual fans, and they don't understand that this is such a good thing for this city. We've never had anything like this, regardless of how big you thought the Royals World Series was. I know that was big, but we never had a guy we can count on year in, year out to be our guy.
Well, and another part of it that I haven't mentioned yet was, well, actually, because you're right, the majority of those people that I've seen myself on Twitter and other parts of social media is the casual fan.
Right.
But I've also seen guys and people I've known for years that are humongous Chiefs fans, loyal Chiefs fans that know the game better than I do, what they're worried about. And maybe they're saying it tongue in cheek, but they are still saying it at a great amount of time. They've used a lot of their platform to say it, is the fact that they think that he's going to get distracted. They're afraid that this is going to become his focus on building his brand, on becoming this, global figure, to the point where he's not going to focus on the football side of things. And so, I took that fairly. I was like, you know what, that's fine. That's a legitimate argument, because of the fact that he's still very young. He's still very impressionable. He's still new to this entire world per se.
Right.
The reason I say per se is because of the fact that it does hold weight. Being Pat Sr.'s son, being in those clubhouses, understanding, growing up with Alex Rodriguez as your mentor, one of the biggest stars in baseball history, dating J-Lo, like this.
But that only helps him. Though.
Exactly.
That only,
That's why I'm not worried. If he was some kid that came from nothing,
naive,
and had no idea what this life was all about, I would be very concerned about this.
A-Rod, one of the biggest names in sports history, one of your mentors. Right. You're going to be, and the only thing that I heard about, I've been hearing rumblings about how he has his girlfriend with him in almost damn near everything. She was at Lakers games. She was in his photo shoots. She's like, on during his interview, she's kind of by his side. That is one of the few things that I can kind of understand, because how many times have we seen athletes come in with a spouse or with the girlfriend, Russell Wilson for one, we've seen guys come in like that, and, that can be a distraction to them if they split, or, if things get ugly, or if he proposes, they get married, and that messes up, a chemistry issue with someone down the road or something. that one I can kind of get on board with her kind of being a distraction or being too involved with his career and his endorsements. Besides that, man, let the kid live.
Right.
You know, he's 23 years old. He's deserving every bit of attention he's getting.
He's a very humble person. He's for his age, just to be that humble and the way he carries himself, it's just unbelievable.
He doesn't need to be. He's 23 and he just came in here and just became the NFL MVP.
Exactly.
He just walked into the league and took it by storm, man. You don't have to be. You can be as arrogant as you want right now.
And let's take it. I mean, let's take it a step further here, because I'm one of those guys. I'm not big on following people's personal lives.
Right.
You know, when we hear about, these people are splitting up, or these people got together. I'm sorry, I don't care.
Right.
So if people are going to use the relationship side of this whole thing, like if that's going to be a distraction, if him and his lady were to split up or something was to happen, for me, it's like, dude, as long as you take care of business, I don't care what your personal life.
That's just my aspect from a selfish
indicates.
fan. I'm like, if this chick messes up anything that I got going on right now, I'm gonna be pissed. That's why I have. That's the only reason I even say that.
Yeah,
is because I don't want her coming in and messing anything. I know I'm not judging her. I don't know her. She could be great. I'm just saying, like, we've seen that happen before. I know she's not a Kardashian or anything like that. I'm just saying.
Thank God.
That could happen. Things like that happen, man.
Poor Tristan Thompson. No, I was kidding. So let's move on from that. Let me just relay this, Chiefs fans. You got nothing to worry about until Patrick gives us something to worry about. Let's not be worried. I know we have trust issues. We've been jaded our whole lives. Let's give this man an opportunity to make his brand what he wants it to be, and let him go out there and continue to win us football games and get us to some Super Bowls. Because I don't think it matters because we'd be naive to think that he didn't have this planned the entire time while he was succeeding in last season.
Well, until he
knew what he was going to do in this offseason. And I believe it's Lee Steinberg.
Yeah,
it's his
Steinberg.
Steinberg. Yeah, that it's his agent. Just came to me right now. But let's move on to another topic. It's still Chiefs related. I know a lot of people are sick of talking about it, but we have to touch on it one more time because more news came out this week. And I will go out and preface this by saying I am done talking about this guy as I sit here and make a new subject matter with his name attached to it. But it's regarding Chief Safety Eric Berry. Now, there's been nothing of substance as far as his progress of his health per se that's come about. But the news is that he is now not going to get surgery on his Achilles or the bone that's below the Achilles that's causing him problems.
Yep.
Now, that is news only because of the fact that this makes him even more cuttable for the Chiefs. Because if he was to get a surgery, it becomes a problem for the Chiefs to try to cut him. So him doing this actually makes it easier for the Chiefs to cut him. And we've already touched on this as to why it makes so much sense for the Chiefs to cut him financially this year. If they wait after June 1st, they can save some money, and the cap hit will not be as significant as it would be if they wait another year. And seeing he's been out essentially 2 seasons, it only makes sense. So the news this week is it's frustrating to me because Eric Berry, I'm just gonna come out and say, and I know again I get repetitive with this, but I was his biggest defender going into this last season because he tore his Achilles. There's nothing you do about it, just shit luck. Right? It's just shit luck. He had an amazing 2016 season, won comeback player of the year, was on the ESPYs, got honored because he came back from cancer. And that shit is never easy to come back from, period. Not just playing football, life. We're talking life here. Right. This dude came back from that and had an incredible season. You could argue his best season of his career. Yep. So I will forever have respect for him. The problem with this, though, is that is history. Now we are where we're at. And this is a business at the end of the day. And so my problem with what Eric Berry and his situation is that it shows me that because he didn't get surgery this time around, it actually wasn't as bad as we were led on to believe. All season long, we were told he's day-to-day when we knew he wasn't.
We were told the whole season it was a pain tolerance issue.
It's a pain tolerance issue. Right.
That was the most frustrating. I mean, I know you can't just go numb your foot and go play football because you can't be walking out there on a foot made of Jello. But it's a pain tolerance thing, man. I mean, every week, like you said, we heard it was day-to-day.
Yeah.
I mean, we're being lied to. That's the biggest.
And what made me the most upset, and Clay, we watched I don't want to bring Clay into this yet, but we watched this game at Shane's house, the Seahawks game. Mm-hmm. We watched that game and we saw him play during the game, and he was playing effectively, and then sits out the final drive, which
it showed,
paid dividends as to why the Seahawks won the game. Right. So this is why I'm so frustrated with his situation, is the fact that he had the opportunity to contribute to this team. Now that we know the truth, and the truth has started to come out more and more, he just simply didn't feel it in his spirit. Now, people want to get upset with me for saying those things, but I feel like the argument is valid because now we know that he actually could have played all season long, technically. He could have actually played more in those Seahawks and Chargers games, 2 crucial games that could have cost us the 1 seed. Now, I don't want to sit here and just rehash on what's already been done.
Yeah.
But now we sit in a place, and I think it has to be common sense the Chiefs get rid of his contract. It has to happen. I don't know how you guys feel.
I'm just confused on – it's still never been clarified on whose camp it was that was reporting he was day-to-day or was reporting – giving out the details on if it was a pain tolerance issue. I was always – I know Rick Burkholder, our training guy, he was the one that was, obviously giving out all those reports because he was the guy that always gives that out. But I was always confused on, is this his call, his camp, or is this the Chiefs, wanting to save him for the playoffs, or is this AB wanting to save himself? It just became a mess, man. And I honestly, I don't think he's going anywhere, at least this season. I know you've been adamant about him being gone. I'm just so confused, man. Like if he plays this year and he's great. But I don't really know how to feel. Like I don't know if I want him gone because he's so near and dear to my heart. Like you said, you've always been one of the biggest defenders we all have. We love him to death. But I'm just so confused on what's going to happen if he's going to be himself. If he's not taking his surgery, So I don't really know what to expect, man.
Right. Well, the reason the reason I want him gone is because of the fact he's not worth the money he's going to be making.
I just don't think he's not going to get cut, dude.
Well,
it's not.
I think it is going to happen. I've talked to some pretty reliable people, and they say it's almost a foregone conclusion it's going to happen.
Okay, I just don't.
I'm hoping that's right.
Coach Reese has made it sound like that's not what's going to happen.
Well, and to answer your question about whose camp it was clearly on Eric Berry's side.
That's where I lean.
The Chiefs would be insane to sit here and go, we're paying this guy $20 million. Hey, we'll just save you for the playoffs that we don't know for sure we'll be in. This is also
the same team. This is also the same organization that's said we're doing fine and we had no wide receiver touchdowns in the season. So, I'm saying
when you extend it,
we can get messages that are mixed.
Sure.
Total BS. So.
And I'm not going to debate you on that because I obviously agree with you there. I'm saying that one mistake doesn't mean they're going to make another, if that makes sense. I don't think that because especially with the financial side of it, you have to consider the fact that they can get out of his contract now, and the cap hit will not be significant. I think it's only $7 million in total. So you're not going to have to pay him all that money that you would initially have to pay him if you stayed on the team.
I'm with you on the theory. Like I'm with you on that. I think like you said, if it's not, I know we've made jokes about it, if it's not in his spirit to play big games and we need him the most, then he should go. Veach should step in and be the cutthroat guy because we know how soft Andy Reid can be at times with guys that are near and dear to his heart or whatever. Veach should shut that down, and we should make a move. But if he's going to go, we're going to have to find another elite talent, whether it be Landon or whether it be Earl Thomas. But Earl Thomas has made it pretty clear today he's not cheap. So I don't know, man. I don't know if we can afford to let him go and then try to replace him. That's Watkins. I don't know.
There's still so many layers to this whole story. I'm hoping that they cut ties with him and they say thank you for your time. You're an incredible person. From everything I've heard, Eric Berry is an awesome guy. It's time. It's business. He's 30 years old. 2 years out of football. I think it's just time. Another player that we need to address real quick, and again, this is somebody we've already talked about as far as the future of his career in Kansas City, is Justin Houston, outside linebacker. The thing about Justin Houston, we talked before the show even started, is personally, I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to do any favors for the Chiefs. No. I don't think he's going to give them any type of restructuring idea. I don't think he's going to take anything less. And I think he's okay. I think he's made peace.
He's earned that right
with saying, you know what, I'll move on and someone else is going to take us. Yeah. Here's some really good news, though, because a lot of people are concerned about, well, who's going to take on that contract? Who's going to trade for him? Well, here's the beautiful thing. I did a little research on this. Mm-hmm. This year, he'll be owed $21 million if he stays with the Chiefs. That sucks because he's not worth $21 million anymore. But if they were to trade Justin Houston, the Chiefs would only be liable for $7 million of that.
Yes.
Which means another team would only have to pay him around $14-15 million. Now, you look at teams like the Colts and Jets, which I have heard are actually very interested in Justin Houston. I don't know if they're actually going to sign him, but they are interested. You give those types of teams who are on the verge of either getting back to the playoffs and making some noise, or a young team like with Sam Darnold as your quarterback, having a veteran on the opposite side of the field that can help, boost your defense and take some pressure off of your own quarterback, and only have to spend $14 or $15 million with the cap space both teams have, it only makes sense. And for the Chiefs, it's perfect because you can cut them, sure, but you can actually get. And so I started really theorizing, what could you get in return for Justin Houston?
Right. That's what I was going to ask you.
Go ahead.
I don't know, man. I don't know if anyone's going to trade for him. I know outside of quarterbacks, pass rushers are what you usually trade for or try to acquire those kinds of assets. The most important besides, QBs. Like you said, I know it would be obviously ideal for us to only have to pay $7 million of the 21. We could eat that with no problem. But I just don't. I'm pretty sure teams are just going to call our bluff, man. I'm like, hey, he's 30-plus-year-old outside linebacker. I don't know if they're going to buy into that and try to throw offers our way unless it's late round picks.
Yeah, I agree with you guys 100%. I agree with your brother. I don't see other teams trading for him. I would love to see him get traded to either the Colts or the Jets. Those two teams are coming up, man, and next year they're going to be a threat in the AFC.
They have cap space.
Yes, they have the money to sign anybody they want, pretty much. But I just don't see Justin Houston getting traded at his age and like all that money he's owed. I just don't. I don't see it.
Yeah, and the fact is though that no matter what happens, whether it's getting cut or it's getting traded, he cannot be on this team next season. And I mean that based on the fact that we can assume safely that he's not going to take a pay cut. It would send shockwaves through Kansas City if Justin Houston agreed to a pay restructure. It would because why would a guy who already took a franchise tag, bet on himself, goes out there and has a career year and then gets a big time contract? Why would he say, hey, even though I earned this and you guys basically called my bluff and I went out there and had an all-time great season, I'm going to do you a deal? I'm going to do you a solid? Hell no. This is a business at the end of the day.
Injured pretty good here and there.
Yeah, as much as I think he loves being in here in Kansas City, and I have no reason to believe otherwise, I definitely believe he loves being a Chief. I definitely believe that. At the end of the day, this is about him and his family. And I fully respect if he says, you know what? I'm not giving you guys a deal here. Yeah. I'm not helping you out. Either you cut me or you trade me. Well, it's business.
We got younger bodies to pay. So, he's one of the pieces that has to go in order for us to move forward.
Yeah, I think the best option would be just to cut him. Because I honestly don't see other teams train for him. So I think I don't know if it's the best option, but I think the option the Chiefs have to look at is just to plain and simple cut him.
Well, if we cut him and he gets an offer, we can always match that offer, or he can have a change of heart if he's not getting what he likes out from whoever other teams are throwing offers his way. If he doesn't like it, he can always come back and try to restructure at least a little bit. But I don't know, man. Right now it's up in the air. We'll see.
The thing is, like I said, if you can get any type of value out of him, obviously you have to make the trade.
Yeah.
If people are going to wait for if the people are going to wait for him to call the bluff, then you just cut him and then you try to match the offer and see what happens.
Right.
The point is there's guys behind him like Breeland Speaks that's going to play defensive end this year. They're going to get their opportunity. I do believe they're going to draft somebody at that position again because they're changing the whole scheme up. Would Justin Houston fit it? I think he would, but
and then D Ford's gone. Say if D Ford's gone next year, we just have Breeland Speaks left.
Right.
Like we got to draft somebody else.
And the biggest part of all this for me is I'm looking for the Chiefs' future here because they're going to have to pay Patrick Mahomes, they're going to pay Tyreek Hill and Chris Jones within the next calendar year. Okay. You cut Eric Berry, you either trade or cut Justin Houston. You're looking at $50 million in cap space that you have available. That it's common sense because the Chiefs are currently sitting around $27 million in cap space right now. You get rid of these two aging veterans.
Yeah, you're not talking young players either.
Yes, thank you for your time. You're both 30 years old. One hasn't played essentially 2 years. Justin Houston, you had a lot of injury problems. You played pretty well last season, but we cannot make sense of your contract as it currently stands.
You pay Chris Jones, Tyreek, and stop arguing about it.
That was a pretty good debate. I will say that was a pretty good one. But we're going to come back in a second, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about Patrick, a guy that we have not addressed yet. Not a free agent, but I want to give you guys a little insight of what I think the Chiefs could do in the trade market. And this, I'm sure you guys might shoot me down on this one. It's okay. But when we come back, I'm going to give you this one. It's going to be a little short segment before we bring our guy Clay Wendler on. And we'll be back after these messages. KC Hemp Company, your most trusted CBD provider in Kansas City, shipping nationwide. Ancient plant for a new age health. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at KC Hemp Co. We are back on the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here with my brother, Trevor Twidwell.
How's it going, guys?
Guys, I listen, I wanted to take this little small segment and just give you guys a little theory I had, a little idea, and then I'm going to bring my guy Clay Wendler on. Look, the Chiefs can make some serious noise in this offseason. And I think they need to, because of the fact that 2019 should be geared and looked at as nothing more than all in to get a Super Bowl victory.
Oh yeah, man.
For so many reasons that we've already addressed. We all know the
It's
fact
Super Bowl or bust right now.
that you're going to pay Patrick Mahomes after this next offseason, and you're going to pay him probably the greatest contract we've ever seen in NFL history. So it's common sense that the Chiefs have to go out there and almost do it Rams style. And I know they didn't work out for them at the end, but they were in the Super Bowl for Christ's sake. Right. So they had the opportunity. They made it. They got to the point because they went out and they got a swoop of free agents. I think the Chiefs need to do something similar to that, which leads me to the thought of cutting Houston and Barry, opening up that cap space, and you would be able to afford getting veterans like one Patrick Peterson.
Oh yeah, man. Oh man, I'm all in.
I got shut down a little bit, but
Pat, man.
But I will tell you guys that I actually, and I'm going to pull this up for you real quick because I wanted to get the idea of the Chiefs fans that I had talked to about this, as far as what their thoughts are on a Patrick Peterson trade.
Man.
So what I did is I simply asked, would you be okay with the Chiefs trading a high draft pick or 2 mid-round picks for Patrick Peterson? 68% of the vote was yes. So
I was one of those voters, by the way.
So 68% of Chiefs fans that at least acknowledge my posts acknowledge that they would be on vote with okay with that. And I went on Facebook as well. I would say 74% of those votes were on the favor of getting Patrick Peterson. So the reason why, obviously, besides the fact that the guy's extremely talented, he is one of the best at his position. He's 28 years old with 2 years left of control on his contract, and he's only owed $23.5 million during that time. Now you could say, well, that's $23 million. Well, the best part about that is at his market value, that's less than what he's actually worth.
Right.
So at 28 years old, 2 years left of control, and less than $25 million on the next two deals. I actually looked up on 24/7 Sports when the Chiefs were in rumors of trading for him during the season. But they were speculating, what would the Chiefs have to give up in order to get him? At that time, they said they would need to give up a first and a fourth, which makes total sense because the guy's an elite a cornerback with, at that time, 3 years left on his deal.
Right.
So there's a lot of control and a lot of incentive for the Cardinals to ask for a lot back. Now, with another season off of that control, the market can lessen just enough. And my theory is with the Chiefs having 2 second-round picks, and I think 3 picks within 29 and 68, the Chiefs can say, you know what? Those second-round picks we could use to go get Patrick Peterson, one of those second-round picks and a valuable second-round pick the next year, or something close to that, to give the Cardinals, a team clearly building for the future. We don't even know what their quarterback position is going to be coming into this season. So they have a lot of questions they got to answer. More draft picks for a team like the Cardinals makes all the sense.
That's what I was just going to say, too, because I think the Cardinals are a scrambling franchise right now. They're not a winner. They're not going to be a winner probably for the next couple of years at least, until maybe Rosen develops into something. I don't see it.
Or they trade for Kyler Murray.
Hey,
I'm just saying.
He could be a terrible bust as well. So we'll see.
That's Kingsbury's guy. I'm just saying, don't be shocked if they trade Rosen. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to it makes so much sense for both teams because the Chiefs can therefore take the pressure off the inevitable cornerback they do take early in the draft. They are going to probably trade up and get a cornerback. I've talked to several guys that are draft scouts for our Arrowhead Pride. They've all said they fully expect the Chiefs will trade up, and they're going to more than likely get a defensive back.
Veach style, man.
But it takes the pressure away because you can afford to go get that free agent elite cornerback still in his prime. You have Kendall Fuller back in the slot formation, which he was number 1 ranked in 2017 at that position. And then you have this young guy who can learn while Patrick Peterson travels and takes over the number 1 position. Absolutely. It makes so much sense. Yeah. It really does. And I hope the Chiefs do it. I really do. I don't know if it's going to happen. But again, 2019 has to be an all-in year to win a Super Bowl while you still have Patrick Mahomes on the cheap. You need to go out there, spend the money on adequate acquisition, make that happen. So with that, I'm going to move right into it, guys. I'm really excited. We have a very special guest here, Red Tribe Cinema's own Clay Wendler. Clay, thank you so much for coming in here, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Very good, bro. Yeah, you got the sound effects in. Clay has been, without question, not only just a great friend, he's really given me a lot of opportunity to have a lot of fun with his entire. I mean, Red Tribe Cinema. I don't even know how to explain it.
Neither do I.
It's a page, but there's madness to it, and I've never known someone who's so detailed in particular with art, mastering their craft. Like whenever you watch a video from, I mean, you even sent me some videos of when the Mavericks back in 2011.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, dude, this is incredible. I'm not a Mavericks fan. I'm watching an 8-minute video of Dirk
Screw the
Nowitzki.
2011
This is so awesome. Like I was enjoying every second of it. And so even back in the days when he was just doing things just for fun, it was just a blast. And Clay, it's always fun when you let me come on, dude, and do videos with you. And it's just a blast. Oh, Shaggy and I, man, it's very humbling. So Clay, thank you for coming out here tonight, man. I want you, if you could, just for a few minutes, give the people a little synopsis. Give people an idea of how Red Stripe Cinema came about, why it came about, and what drives you to do it, man.
Well, just so you guys know, you're in for a long story because I've been doing this. Let's see. Gosh, this really started like 2004. That's when I really picked up a computer and decided, you know what, I'm inspired to create something and see what happens. And so I remember very clearly just the genesis of all of this. I grew up a huge film buff, a huge fan of film scores and football, obviously. But before I was a football fan, I was way into film and music. So at some point after the 2004 season, I was just watching random clips of Priest Holmes, and there was this run that he had against the Denver Broncos in Denver, and it was like a 30-yard touchdown run. And I'm just sitting there watching it, and for some reason, I don't know how it happened, but I just thought of the Superman theme by John Williams, and I downloaded a freeware video editor, which I can't even remember what it was. I mean, this was 14 years ago. You have to understand.
Yeah.
And I put in the video, and then I put in the music, and it just kind of matched up. And I was like, this is really cool.
Right.
And so I was like, you know what? I should just make an entire video of Priest Holmes scoring touchdowns and jumping through the air and set it to the Superman theme.
Yeah. And
honestly, looking back at it now, it's total garbage, in my opinion. I tell people that, and they still like it. But so I created this Priest Holmes video, and people liked it. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do some more of this. So I just kept making videos, and enough people liked it that I was having fun doing it that I'm just going to keep doing this and see what happens.
Now you found your niche, man.
Yeah.
Your niche, however you want to say it.
So I didn't get a whole lot of attention. I got the attention kind of trickled in because the Chiefs were kind of crappy. I mean, there was a little bit of excitement during the Vermeil years, and then the Herm Edwards era started, and about the only thing that anybody was interested that I did during that era was like this Jared Allen video, which was actually kind of fun. It was set to the Blazing Saddles theme, which was that's something that I feel like nobody else would think of, which I did, and it just kind of resonated with people, I guess. So where this really kind of took off was the latter half of the Scott Pioli era.
Oh,
when it was apparent that the Chiefs were an abyss
the golden years
for playing good football, as Romeo Crennel would say. And I just got fed up, and that was when I got on Twitter, and so I used my combination of frustration with the Chiefs and the video editing skills I had developed over the last 6-7 years, and I just started kind of pumping out content. Teamed up with the Save Our Chiefs guys, got a lot of followers on Twitter and Facebook, and so all that happened. And then the Chiefs traded for Alex Smith. And I'm not going to lie, my enthusiasm for doing this stuff went way, way down.
See, I don't know if I believe that, though, Clay, because I'm going to be honest with you. My question I was about to bring up was, is it more enjoyable for you as a chief editor of Red Tribe Cinema to make videos ingest of Alex Smith's failures or Patrick Mahomes' success? Be honest with me
It
here.
makes this moment sweeter, though.
Because I wonder.
It's a complicated question, but I'll be very honest with you. I had a lot of fun during the Alex Smith era. It was a barrel of monkeys because I mean, what happened was when you're totally resigned before the season starts, you just enter a frame of mind where everything is a joke to you, and you just kind of want to make as many jokes as you can because that's the only way you can get
So
through
you
the
did
season.
enjoy it.
Of course I did. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Smile through the pain, man. Smile through the pain.
But I mean, I've been a Chiefs fan since I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
So deep down, I always wanted to get back to doing things that were actually special. So when the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes, I mean, obviously I was really, really excited, even though there was a guy on Twitter today. He was like, "Hey, are you going to talk about how Clay didn't want Patrick Mahomes when the draft?" Like, listen, dude, I thought he was a second round pick. Just don't sue me. But so when
Clay getting pushback on Twitter, that just sounds wrong, right? Because Clay doesn't ever make anything controversial or totally didn't have Alex Smith with a cross through his face and nothing like that.
So I'd had a lot of fun, even during the Alex Smith era, though, when the Chiefs had like a really memorable game, it would inspire me to create something like cool that was actually not in jest. Like the Redskins game in 2017. Great game.
Yep.
And so I created like a serious, like dramatic video based around like the Gladiator with that game. And people liked it. So I still kind of kept alive the original core idea of what I was doing. So when they drafted Patrick Mahomes, I knew I was going to have to like shift gears and go back to the way I was when I was a homer 24/7.
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel I am now. I've completely shifted gears. But I knew about, when we all realized Mahomes was going to be something we had never seen before, I knew I was going to have to take it to another level. And that's kind of where that kind of brought us to where we are today, where I'm making absolutely ridiculous things with movie mashups. And you and Shane, if y'all don't know, Lance Twidwell here is the voice of fake Patrick Mahomes.
You just took my mask off, man.
As I've said, the only fake Patrick the internet will ever need, in my opinion. But and actually I don't want to ramble on too long here. But anyway, so I knew I was going to have to take it to another level because if you go on YouTube, everybody is making Patrick Mahomes stuff.
Oh, yes.
He's that popular. So I knew I wanted to do something that was going to separate me from the pack. So that's how you end up with Patrick Mahomes as Batman,
Pulp Fiction,
headbutting John Elway.
Oh man,
and flying off into the night.
Enough of them, man.
And yeah, so that's I think that brings us up to present day.
I think so, yeah. And I'll be honest, man, I had followed your work back in 2012ish, when the real shit was hitting the fan, and I'll be honest with you, it got me through those tough times because when it's so bad, you have to laugh. You know what I mean? In order for you to feel a little bit better. And when you see somebody that's taking the time to show how shitty this team is, but you already know it, but it's still funny because you twisted the narrative a little bit to where it's almost enjoyable. That's what got me through those tough times. And so when Alex came, I was like, man, I really hope this guy stays consistent because we didn't really know each other at that time.
No, we didn't.
And,
like
obviously we had
syndrome, man.
Right. And so we had a mutual friend, Shane Williams, and that's how we kind of got connected. And it's just so funny how it's all played out because we go from I'm just enjoying this fodder of, just this humorous stuff that you're putting together so well and enjoyably. And it goes to this place where we're all now working together to create these masterpieces that you're putting together. And so I guess a question, because I've asked some people because people have come to me like, so what's this all about? Well, how does Clay get his inspiration? So I'm relaying that to you because I know you're a big time movie buff, just like we are. Big time show, TV guy. You love you're great at pop culture references. What is it that inspires you to adequately place these, or rather place Patrick and these Chiefs games into these so seamlessly, into these scenarios? How do you come up with it? Because there's times you'll message, Shane and I in our chats, and I was like, how the hell did he come up with that so quickly? Because it's like week to week, you know what I mean? So how do you do it, man?
Well, first thing before I answer your question, I wanted to say the movie mashup thing actually had its genesis during the Pioli era. There was, when Pioli got fired, I created this mashup with RoboCop where Carl Peterson came back as RoboCop and Scott Pioli was Dick Jones.
Nice.
And if you've seen RoboCop, you know how that movie ends. I will say I had a hard drive crash in 2012 and I lost that video forever. So if anybody out there is listening and they saved that, please.
Yes. We got in touch. The people need to see it, man.
Because I missed that damn video because it was so hilarious. So that was actually the start of that. But it's like I told you, I grew up as a big film buff before I was a football fan. So I tend to view entertainment through the lens of movies that I've seen and music that I've collected over the years. So if you take for example this season, let's see, there was I think probably by far the most popular video I did this year was the Attack of the Mahomes mashup with the Return of the Jedi mashup with the Steelers game. And so when you think about the Steelers game, and if you just kind of imagine Big Ben as Jabba the Hutt, and the Chiefs, which is hilarious, by the way. At least I thought it was.
Yes, it was.
I hope you all did.
Twitter has a GIF of him of
yes.
Pat Skyballer.
So actually, I've been thinking about making a video based on that scene for probably 2 or 3 years, but I was waiting for the right moment. And that moment never really came until the Steelers game, where you have an old nemesis of the Chiefs, and they're kind of almost captive, and they're in a crummy situation, and they need somebody great to get them out of it. And just so happens that day, Patrick Mahomes threw 6 lightsabers.
Yep.
And actually, and it was hilarious when I was listening to the radio broadcast for that. I met Mitch Holthus one time. That's the only time we've ever talked. And just out of the blue on the radio broadcast, he starts talking about Mahomes as the Jedi lightsaber and Darth Vader's Steelers. And I was like, oh, well, that's fun. So I think that answers your question.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And so how many you said, how many years has this been? Since 2004?
Yeah. So 14 years doing this.
So 14 years.
I still can't believe it's been 14 years.
Yeah.
It's just the beginning now.
And I think having you and Lance come on has really enabled me to take it to another level, because I really, if you're going to do a video with fake Mahomes saying lines, you got to have somebody to do his voice. and I think I've contributed one line in all the stuff we do, because I'm not very good at that stuff. These guys, Lance and Shane, they have the dulcet tones you want.
Especially Shane. And you hear his voice at the beginning of this podcast every time.
Yes.
Thank you, Clay, for putting that all together, man. Clay is our actual producer for the show now. He on his own volition. I did not, make him do that. He chose to do that. I want to thank you for that, man, because it took our quality to the whole another level. Because I listened back to our first episode, and it's a bunch of kids just putting something together. So it definitely adds to quality. And that's the thing, man, as Red Tribe, that's what it is. It's quality. And we're lucky to have that here in Kansas City, because you could have been a Seahawks or Patriots or Chargers fan, and they would have been spoiled with these types of videos. And like I said, I have a blast every time. I remember the first time I ever even did a line. It wasn't even with fake Pat. It was the Rise of Mahomes video last February.
Yeah.
You brought me over,
the intro.
Yeah. It was one of the first times you and I just actually hung out, and you had me come over and just watch the video. And I remember, I don't remember what I looked like, but I remember you saying that you just kind of looked over And you saw my face. I was like a child because the child in me came out with the way you put it together. And we haven't even seen Patrick play in a season yet. Yeah. But we just knew, like you made it almost sound like he's already had a Hall of Fame career, the way you embodied that video. And so I cannot wait for what's to come, man. If you want to use me, I'm here. Trust me. But the fact that we've just done, it's gone this far, dude. You've done a great thing. And
I got to say, there is no way I would continue to do this if I could not have the services of the only fake Patrick the internet will ever need.
Well, now let's talk real quick. Let's talk some football with you, Clay, because you're not just a video editor. You're actually a fan, like you said.
I think the word you're looking for is nerd. Yeah.
Well, you're a sports nerd as well, not just a video nerd. But some of the things we've already kind of addressed today, as far as the Patrick Mahomes superstardom, Eric Berry, Justin Houston, the potential of free agents and trading assets like Patrick Peterson, I have brought up. What's your thoughts on a couple of those notes? You can touch on either one. You don't have to touch on all of them, just a few of them. I'm sure you have some thoughts on them.
Well, I think y'all covered the Justin Houston situation pretty well, but the one thing I would say is, he did play pretty well this year, but if you're going to keep him and you're going to pay him $21 million, you have to be guaranteed in some way that he's going to play 13, 14, 15 games. Mm-hmm. And based on his injury history, you just don't know if that's going to happen. And you don't know if he can be a 9-10 sack guy again. You just don't know, just based on the last 3 years. So in the NFL, it's, what have you done for me lately? And, lately he's done quite a bit for the Chiefs, but in the 2 years before, not so much. So when you have an unknown like that, you can't really give $20 million to an unknown.
Right. And
Chiefs defense was bad enough with him that you feel like getting rid of him, what do you really have to lose at this point? And I feel the same way about the Eric Berry situation.
Yeah.
He's even more of an unknown, and you've gotten even less from him. So if you can save money and move on, then
it's a win-win.
You have to do that. Absolutely.
I think it's a win-win too for Justin Houston too, because he's had one of his more productive seasons this past season. Finally being pretty much healthy the whole year, had good numbers. So for him to hit the market now, and for us to cut that money now, to swallow that $7 million, move on from him is probably a win-win for both parties. But like I said, man, I don't know what's going to happen.
I think that Colts game added some value to Justin Houston for sure.
Oh yeah,
when he played the way he did, he was an absolute monster. I think you can make the case he was the best player on the field that night. Like he made that much impact.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely adds to his value. I'm just looking at like I said in the first segment, I definitely think that his time has come. It's a business. It's no hard feelings. I think that the Chiefs love him. I think he loves being a Chief, but it's just time. He's going to go make his money elsewhere, retire somewhere else. It's just how it goes sometimes. And so it's unfortunate. But something real quick, we talked before the show, you had some thoughts on this whole Bryce Harper situation, which we were going to talk about. If you guys are not aware, former Nationals outfielder Bryce Harper just agreed to a 13-year, $330 million deal with the Philadelphia Phillies.
A bit of money.
It's a bit of money. Yeah. Well, this might actually correlate with one Patrick Mahomes. And how that goes is the fact that you look at the value of a superstar, even though they're different sports, we see that value is obviously undefeated. We know that once guys are able to get paid, they get paid, and they get paid for what they're worth and maybe a little bit more. So with Patrick Mahomes, we know the inevitable is coming. The rumors are he's going to make about $200 million in his next contract, maybe a little bit more than that. I want you to give the people a little bit on your idea of how these correlate for the Bryce Harper contract and the potential and the inevitable Patrick Mahomes contract.
Well, the Bryce Harper contract, there are some people who are in shock that he got paid that much. I'm not really a huge baseball fan.
Same.
I was one of those people. If you look at Bryce Harper, he doesn't even average 30 homers for his career. I know he's had seasons where he was definitely worth that much money, and he's only 25 years old, and who knows what he could be. But when I saw that he was he got that contract, I was like, whoa. But I'm probably wrong because, like I said, I know I'm not a baseball fan. But that made me think about Mahomes and how much he could potentially get paid in a year or two. There are some people who think he could get upwards of averaging 40 million a year. And I have seen Chiefs fans just be completely shocked at that number and even have a negative reaction to it. Like he wouldn't be worth that much. He's going to be worth that much.
Oh yeah.
So
yep.
like you said in the last segment, everything is different now because we've never had this kind of player.
It's
so
change, man. We're
just
not used to it.
Be prepared for wild stuff to happen.
It's a good thing, man. That's what we need to understand.
Yes.
It's a good thing. It's change. We're uncomfortable. It's good that we're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. It's growth.
Well, and to bring it back to the Bryce Harper side of things, I mean, it's hard to criticize anybody that just made $330 million. So I'm going to try to make it very artistic in how I do this. But the fact that Bryce Harper agreed to a deal that had no opt-out option in this is really weird to me because he gives all the control to the Philadelphia Phillies. So what that means is if the Philadelphia Phillies next season or even this season go, we're trading you and we're trading you to the Orioles or to the Rays or some shitty franchise out there, there's nothing he can do about it.
Right.
And as long as that other team agrees to the pay, to the contract, they do it. So that's what's kind of weird to me is I don't understand why baseball players don't take more control of their contracts. And what I mean by that is if you look at the way the NBA does their thing, and not the NBA players, like LeBron James, when he started doing with these 1-for-1s, you sign a 2-year deal with a 1-year opt-out clause. It gives you all the leverage to where your team, in order to keep you, is going to have to build you a winner. Right. I don't understand. And in a league with no salary cap, why you wouldn't do that.
Right.
So if I'm Bryce Harper, I go, hey, Dodgers, you want me? Hey, Yankees, you want me? Hey, Red Sox. Hey, Phillies, you guys want me? I'm going to sign a 2-year deal for $100 million. You're paying me $50 million up front. And if you don't give me the players around me, I'm opting out. I'm going somewhere else, and they're going to pay me because I'm 26 now. I'll be 27, just entering my prime. I'm one of the 5 best position players in baseball. What can you do?
I just look at it from a PR standpoint. That's the way I'm looking at it. That's the only real comparison I see right now is you got 2 young guys. You got Patrick Mahomes, who we're comparing right now with Bryce Harper. Every league needs a face. And like in the NFL, we got Tom Brady about to be on his way out. He's been the guy, obviously. So I'll make this quick. Okay. Tom Brady's about to be on his way out. NFL needs a face. Patrick Mahomes is going to be that face if he's not already. So him getting that money is well-deserved. Bryce Harper is probably the closest thing to the face of the MLB right now. That can, be discussed, but he's one of the faces of the MLB.
Yeah.
So him getting that money makes sense. So from a PR standpoint, these are their golden boys.
Yeah.
Pat's going to be the golden boy. Bryce is going to be the golden boy pretty much for the MLB. And that's the only real comparison I see, cross-sport comparison, as far as a PR standpoint, them trying to push the league and, push the popularity.
Yeah, I get it. And again, it's hard for me to criticize anyone who's made over $300 million.
Oh, for sure.
It's not even 30 years old. So kudos to my dude, Bryce.
Yeah.
I still feel like you could have, put yourself in an even better position. And hell, if you went to LA for a 1-for-1, you could have been closer to home. He's from Las Vegas.
For sure.
A lot of things just add up for me. But
well, see, what you got to do now is you got to tell Bryce about Casey Beardco.
Yeah, it's inevitable now. I'm just going to have to send him a care package and never hear back from him. That'd be great. So, guys, we're going to come back. Clay, do you want to stick around for another segment?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come back, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about the overtime rules. Some news came out today about the Chiefs coming out with a competition committee and trying to pitch them a little sale, if you will. So we'll be back after these messages. We're here at the Spoken Podcast at the Casey Beardco Studios. We'll be back. Located in the historic Westport District, Modern Man Supply Company is your Kansas City's new home for men's retail. From apparel to pomade and home goods to beard care, they offer a wide range of men's products from independent companies from around the world. Follow them at Modern Man Supply Company on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are back. This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here with Trevor Twidwell.
What's going on, guys?
And our special guest, Red Tribe Cinema's own Clay Wendler.
Hey.
Clay? So we just had a really good segment talking to Clay, Clay talking to us about the story of how Red Tribe Cinema originated, what inspired him, and definitely enjoyed listening to that because there's some stuff that I did not know myself. So thank you, Clay, for bringing that out. But we're going to move right on, guys, and we're going to talk a little bit more Chiefs. I'm sure that's not going to offend any of you. There was some news that came out today. Kind of shocked me, I'll be honest, but after reading it, I kind of understand where they're coming from. According to the Chiefs, according to the all news sources, the Chiefs are in discussions with the committee, the competition committee for the NFL, in regards to changing the overtime rules. Now, this does seem pretty convenient, and I'm going to go ahead and say this is absolutely convenient because of the fact the Chiefs lost a game, and not because, but there was a portion of the game that had to do with Patrick Mahomes not getting the ball at the end.
Right.
The Patriots scored a touchdown. We know the rest. So Brett Veach, the Chiefs GM, actually came out with a quote today in regards to what is going on. He says that Coach Reid is, quote, working on it. I think everybody wants a chance for guys to do what they do. I don't really see the downside of all this, especially when you have a player like Pat Mahomes. It would have been a lot of fun. I think people that even weren't watching the game or tuned into such a great game would have tuned in to watch that overtime. Now, I definitely agree with what Brett Veach is saying. I absolutely agree with the Chiefs and what they're trying to accomplish, which is to change an overtime rule that should be changed.
Right.
I definitely do think that NFL teams should be able to have the ball, have a possession. Originally, it used to be even worse, where a team could, win the coin toss, kick a field goal, game's over. So it's gotten better, but it definitely can get better from even now. To where even if a team is to score a touchdown on their possession after winning the coin toss, you get an opportunity to score a touchdown. I think that is fair.
Right.
What I don't want this to become, though, I don't want this to become this is why the Chiefs lost, so they need to make this rule change so no one else can lose because of this. That's not what happened. The Chiefs lost that game, and we already know why. They stuck with Bob Sutton for a 6th season, and Dee Ford was offsides. You could talk about the Chiefs not scoring any points in the first half. They scored 31 points in the second half. That's more than enough to win a home game in the conference championship. So my point in this is make the change. It's probably going to take a couple years, but I do think that if we're sitting here saying this will help us in the long run, and this is actually the reason why we lost the game, I don't want that to be the conversation because I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's the case because we haven't seen teams lose like that very often. What are your guys' thoughts, Trevor?
With the rate that the league has been going, we've seen like numerous league or rules changes in the last few years. So they're obviously trying to keep interest from the fans, trying to as far as like penalties and things like that, everything plays being reviewed, and rules being changed. I think it's going to change, and especially with the big voices, Andy Reid. He's one of the most well-spoken, well-known, well-listened to personalities that the league has. And he's done his time. He's been around. So I definitely think it's going to change, but I think it could be, like you said, a couple of years. I think it'll be changed, and I think it's best. It makes the most sense. I mean, like I said, if that would have been a much more entertaining game if Patrick Mahomes had a chance, with the game on the line, young whippersnapper against the old GOAT, that would have definitely made the game much more interesting.
Chill with that GOAT shit. I'm just saying.
Chill with that GOAT shit. Trust me, he's not my GOAT. He's not my GOAT. I'm just making that clear.
We got some people triggered on that one, though, man. I'll be honest with you. We got some people
I'm just
triggered
saying
on that.
that's the outlook of him for the most part.
Yeah.
But, that's how I look at it.
Well, I think had the Chiefs won the coin toss and if Mahomes had gone right down the field and scored, I don't think this is being brought up at all. So
100%. No, I 100% agree with you.
What you said you feared is exactly what I think it is.
Right.
And to me, Chiefs, if they get this done, it might be like they're shooting themselves in the foot a little bit because
it looks a little petty.
On a given coin toss in any overtime, you have a 50-50 shot of winning that coin toss. So all things being even, with the 50-50 shot to win the coin toss and Patrick Mahomes on your side, why would you want the other team to ever get the ball?
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
And I think it's ironic, too. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think it's pretty ironic that the person that's heading this or pioneering this, rather, is the coach that allowed Bob Sutton to stick around as long as he did.
Yeah.
Even though we all knew what inevitably was going to happen. Like, we all had the hope that the Chiefs were going to make the Super Bowl, and quite honestly, they should have. But we all knew in the back of our minds, there's going to be a day where Bob Sutton absolutely kicks us in the ass and shits the bed, and here we are.
No.
And that's exactly what happened. So it is kind of odd to me that Andy Reid is so adamant about making this change when the change, like you just said, had the Chiefs gotten the ball first and they score a touchdown, I guarantee Andy Reid's not headlining this.
It looks a little petty, man. It does look a little like.
Even if the rule is legitimate,
No.
I'm full support of it. If they change this tomorrow, I am okay with it. The point is, it's the people who are leading that just kind of seems kind of funny to me.
What it reminds me of a little is when they changed the passing rules after the Patriots had been brutalizing the Colts receivers in the playoffs for 2 or 3 years. It was like 2006. They changed the rules so they couldn't do that. And that was, I mean, when that happened, everybody was like, oh, Manning.
Right.
And look what the league turned into.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just such an offensive-driven league, and I think any chance you get to put your star players back in the field, with the game on the line situation, like I said, if that would have been the case with Patrick Mahomes getting a chance in the AFC Championship game, the ratings would have been out the roof even more. The fans would have loved it even more. But I think that the rule change will be for the better, just for overall enjoyment of the game. Not the do or die situation, and it'll make probably more teams go for 2 if they do score first. To keep the other team from scoring and not just be able to kick a field goal and tying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for an entertainment reason, yeah, it makes sense. But for it to be us bringing it to the league, because we're the team that lost that way,
right?
It does seem a little petty, man. It does seem like, well, we lost this way, so we're gonna.
We don't want to lose that way.
Yeah.
No. So here's the other question I have about this entire thing. Do we know or do we assume that the rest of the league is in support of this change? Because I'm saying I haven't heard a lot about, because I do remember the first time when they changed it from a kick a field goal, it's over. I do remember a lot of owners and GMs were very vocal about this has to change. Yeah. This new change, it's been pretty quiet. I'll be honest with you. There was not a lot of discussion about, no, we need to change it again. I've only heard, this is the first time I've heard anybody really get upset about it. Yeah. And again, we'll say it again. If it doesn't happen in Kansas City, I don't think our guys are headlining it. So what do you think?
Yeah.
I think that's because people think it's pretty much a fair rule the way it is. And the other thing you have to look at is with the way the Chiefs lost that game, that was really like kind of a swirling of it was like a perfect storm for the Patriots. I mean, they had to win the coin toss. They had to face the historically almost worst Chiefs defense ever. And they had to go down and score. And in the future, the Chiefs, they might give them a field goal in that. So their defense is obviously going to get better. So I feel like you're not, if you get the rule changed, you might change something, you might not. I would rather have a 50-50 shot and have a chance to have Mahomes just end the game like that.
Yeah. I'm on the same page actually, and because I think if we're taking responsibility here, you got to stop the offense. I mean, it's one thing to sit here and say, well, it's pretty easy. If you get a decent kick return, you go 35 yards, you can chip a 59-yard field goal in. There's a better chance of you winning again. So that is a little unfair to force a defense to keep you out of field goal range after a game has gone that long. Those defenses are going to wear out. Yeah. The point is, though, is that the Chiefs defense could not make any stop whatsoever down that stretch, and that's why they ended up winning the game.
That's why the rules aren't fair, man.
That's why I hope that the Chiefs fans that are in support of this understand what this is about. This is not about, this rule needs to change because the Chiefs lost that way. No, Chiefs lost because of the Chiefs. Yeah. The Chiefs lost because of the way they play defense.
They put up a goose egg in the first half.
Yes. Miscalculations, not knowing how to line up properly for some damn reason. Yeah. Having a guy who refuses to adjust your defense. That's why the Chiefs lost. It wasn't because of the rule. So, although, again, I am in full support, I think it's a good change if it does happen, and it does sound like it will. If there's other people in the league that are in support of it that have power, it's going to really come down to Jerry Jones. We know how this goes. If he's in support of it, it usually goes that way. Right. So, if it does happen, I think it does help the league. I think it does make things more interesting because Veach made a good point, though, about it. If even the casual fan that may be following the game from afar saying, oh, yeah, I heard that Chiefs-Patriots game is on. Wait, you're telling me they're in overtime right now and Patty Mahomes has the ball and that's the second possession? Oh, hold on, dude. Shut up, Roger. I got to watch this. That's going to be the talking point. So Veach makes a good point about that. But I hope that the point of emphasis is still on the fact that this defense has to get better. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because we can have this rule all over again next season, and Patrick Mahomes might get an opportunity, but is it really fair to say, hey, Pat, we know we can't stop anybody. Can you go and save us again? Can you go and do more? Like, that isn't even fair on that side of it either. Well, if you really get deeper into it.
Who's to say if we won, or if we won that way and, we hear the Patriots, if the Patriots came out and said that the same thing we're saying right now, we'd be like, oh, are you serious?
Exactly.
You guys just take your L.
Yeah.
That's how we would look at it. I know
I'd be saying that.
Right.
I know I'd be
But
saying
at the
that.
same time, I got to reflect and take a step back and look at it from the outside looking in. This is our guys saying this, so I'm kind of with it. I think the rule would be probably maybe better. Who knows? But if it doesn't change, it is what it is. We know what the rules are. They've been the same, so it is what it is, man.
And the other thing, in two of these three situations that people are complaining about, it's the Chiefs Patriots playoff game and the Super Bowl with the Falcons and the Patriots. You got Tom Brady in two of those situations.
Yeah.
So not everybody has Tom Brady.
Go figure. Yeah.
So I would wager in the next time this happens to the Chiefs, if they're not facing Tom Brady, they probably don't give up a touchdown.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
You check those coins, double-sided.
Well, Clay, man, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. I really appreciate you coming out tonight, man, being a part of this. Whenever you want to come on, you got it, dude. You have the floor. So thank you so much for being on, dude, and go ahead.
Anything for the only fake Patrick the internet will ever need.
I can't. I'm hoping we do a video soon, but I know we got to wait. So I get so anxious because I know that we have so much to do with so much content you have. I can see it rolling around in your brain right now. 2019 is going to be lit as hell, bro. So it's going to be fun as hell.
It's just the beginning, man.
Red Stripe Cinema.
To blow up.
Yeah, go follow him, guys, on Facebook, Red Stripe Cinema. On Twitter, it's at Clay Wendler. Definitely check out all his work. If you've not watched the 2018 recap of all his videos, go on YouTube at Red Stripe Cinema. I'm telling you're not going to waste your time. It's an absolute blast. Yeah. My personal favorite, Total Read Ball. That's my personal favorite. Just because, like I told you, when that bad boy starts dropping down an Arrowhead, and all of a sudden oh, dude, I lose it every single time.
The other thing about that video is Carl Peterson is in it.
Exactly.
And you're not going to see that anywhere.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. So, guys, again, let's give it up for Clay. Thank you so much for coming on the show, my brother.
Hey.
Humble bow, exit stage left. Guys, we got one more segment for you. We're actually going to touch on Jason Witten, believe it or not. We're going to talk about the big news that came about. And also, we cannot leave out our favorite segment of our show, which is Hold This L. So when we get back, we're going to do those two things. We are here at the KC Beard Co. Studios. And guys, we'll be right back after these messages. Commandeer is Kansas City's alternative apparel brand. They make unique Kansas City-themed clothing and accessories with a countercultural apparel. Find them online at commandeerbrand.com or follow them at commandeerbrand on Instagram or Facebook. And we're back for the final segment. This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here with Eddie Ortiz.
What?
And Trevor Twidwell.
Hello, beautiful people.
We might have to mute your ass after that one, Eddie. That was horrible.
Eddie's drunk.
Yeah. So we've touched base on pretty much all the current Chiefs-related topics that are going on right now in Kansas City. So we're not going to bore you with any more of those things. Actually, what we're going to talk about is something a little bit funnier. No offense, but this is when I first heard it, I laughed literally out loud. Eddie was next to me when we heard the news.
He is not kidding.
Yeah, I thought it was straight from the Onion. Like, I could not believe this was real. So the news came out that Jason Witten, at the time was the Monday Night Football color commentator, has decided to leave the booth after 1 year and return back to football. He will be 37 years old when the season starts, playing in a position where you have to have at least a little bit of agility.
Yeah.
You have to be able to sustain some pain. And I thought for a long time that was why Jason Witten had initially left.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack on this one. I will give you guys the floor on this because I'm going to go on a little tangent. But, Eddie, when you heard this news, and I already know a little bit about what you thought, but go ahead and just give the people a little bit of what came to you first when you heard this news.
Well, the first thing that came to my head was like, man, ESPN really didn't want him next year.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, to leave just after 1 year, but I mean, we all knew he just wasn't cut out for it. We all knew that. His narrating of the games or his whatever you call it, commentating was just not.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
So it was not a shocker that he left. What shocked me was where he went to. I wasn't expecting him to go back into the NFL. I mean, he's old, and I don't think he's capable of getting back into NFL shape at such an old age.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he's definitely not coming back for, to be some kind of good player. I don't think anymore. I think he's coming back just to kind of be a locker room personality, because we know he's always been a good player, a good leader, good locker room or morale guy. But we've seen time and time again him not click with Dak Prescott. So it doesn't really make much sense from a football move standpoint. But him being a locker room guy, maybe coming back to work himself into a coaching position, maybe that would make sense to me. But as far as getting him off TV, I think it's a great move.
Yeah. They're giving him $5 million just to come out.
Yeah. Go Cowboys. That's
well, I'm willing. I don't know the figures on that. I think what is it? Is it 2 or 3 of that guaranteed?
Well, it's, Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, they both reported 2 different amounts. So I'm not.
Yeah, because the initial one I heard was 1 year, $3 million.
So according to Adam Schefter, it's 1 year, $3.5 million, but according to Rappaport, it's $5 million.
So we're gonna go with like 4.3 to like meet in the middle. Is that what we're gonna do? Because both those guys are usually nails with their reports. So I usually don't argue with them. So when they're conflicting, it's kind of confusing. Regardless, the fact is there's obviously so much more to this than what we really know.
There's more. There's an underlying story.
Yes, and that's where I'm gonna go is let's address the obvious, like you guys said. He was terrible on Monday Night Football.
Right.
He was atrocious. It was a horrible hiring for Monday Night Football to go his route. A guy who has 0 experience in that field to take the number 1 spot. Technically, Sunday Night Football, you could say maybe is better, but the fact is, you're available spots. It was the best available spot. And you gave it to a guy who had no idea what the hell he was doing. It was obvious every single week. The dude, I think he was, was it 7 yards per carry or 7 yards per catch? He had less than 7 words per game in most of those games he had in broadcast. It was awful.
I think it's Jason Garrett saving his ass.
Well, but I think it's actually deeper than that. I think actually, and it sounds actually ironic that you're talking about Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
He has 1 year left on his deal.
Uh-huh.
And the Jones family has come out and spoke on how they believe in Garrett, but they're not going to give him an extension yet. So here's the thing. The theory that is very interesting because although Witten is not good at color commentary,
right,
the dude does know football.
Oh, he's got an IQ.
And he has respect amongst his peers and in the league.
That's why I
see where you're going.
So what would push a guy who was not going to get fired from Monday Night Football? They already came out and defended him and Booger and Joe Tessitore.
Yeah.
They already said they were going to stick with those guys. So what would make Jason Witten want to leave such a pud job, even if he's terrible at it and he knew it, but he was still going to make that money?
We got some handshakes going on behind closed doors.
Ooh, I see.
And it's so coincidental that Garrett stays on that 1 year deal. I think and I'm going to say it. Yeah. I think Jerry Jones is going to prep him to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, you said it.
As crazy as that sounds, it makes total sense in Jerry world because Jerry likes Jerry guys.
Yeah.
And Jason Witten and Jerry were very close. I would beg that he was just as close to Jerry as Emmitt Smith was, Troy Aikman. Yeah. Those guys were very close to Jerry Jones all throughout those years in the 90s. I'm telling you, Jason Witten was his guy. That was his guy, even more than Romo was. That was Mr. Cowboy right there. So do not be shocked.
I hope that happens.
Do not be shocked. Now that's a long.
I really hope that
there's still a full season to go, but I think this was the workings of it to get him back into football, to work him as he came from the field to that as opposed to coming from the booth to this. I think that is something that can very well happen, and I'm here for it, man. I'm telling you right now, I think that would be so funny. And no respect to Jason because that's great. Gets an opportunity. I think he'd be more comfortable being down on the field in the middle of it, playing and then coaching it as opposed to trying to talk about it because it's just clearly not his thing. Yeah. It just did not work. And Monday Night Football should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. They should be holding this L. So we're gonna get right into this segment. Actually, let's get right into it, guys. Our favorite segment of the week. Thank you for all the responses. We had a lot of people that have actually chimed in and said this has actually been a fun topic for them, a fun segment for them. So guys. Go ahead, Eddie. Give me what you got because I know you were talking to me today. You didn't really know where you were going to go with it, but what do you got for us, man? Who's holding the L to this week?
Man, I think I'm going to go with Bryce Harper holding that L.
I got to hear this.
He's signed a 13. Money wise, he's set. You know what I mean? Money wise, he's set. But he did sign a 13-year, no opt out contract with the Phillies. Like, come on now. You're not going to win a World Series with the Phillies, I don't think. And to have a no opt-out, like you were talking earlier in the segment, like the Phillies have full control of where you're going if they don't want you. Like, they can send you to the worst team in MLB as long as they're able to pay you. So I'm going to go with Bryce Harper.
So Bryce Harper, who just made $330 million, hold this L. How dare you? You just made $330 million. Clay, I want you to give us the L of the week. Who is holding this L from Clay Wendler?
L for love.
So this is going to be real serious.
I'm already laughing.
I'm real serious. I mean, so election season is coming up.
Oh, here we go.
Everywhere you look on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, Democrats, Republicans, socialists, they're all at each other's throats. Everybody's full of hate, full of sniping, and just bad vibes everywhere. So when that bleeds into my sports feed, somebody's got to hold that L. So the Patrick Mahomes contract debate, how much he's going to get paid, how much he's worth, whatever he gets paid, he's worth that. But people disagree sometimes on how much he's going to get paid and how much he's going to get worth. And that's fine. You can agree to disagree. What's not fine is when you just want to tear somebody down because they think a player is worth this amount of money or that amount. And, oh, he's not worth that. And you're an idiot and you should die. And your entire family should catch rabies from the neighborhood dog.
Yes.
We have enough division in this country over things that actually matter. Just be nice to people about sports. It's the off season. Yeah. The regular season will be here soon enough, and then you can actually have a reason to attack somebody because your quarterback got cheap shotted or the ref screwed your team. Just
sports are supposed to bring people together, man. Yeah.
And especially if you're two Chiefs fans.
Yeah.
Just give it a rest.
What's their at? Don't do it. No.
Whatever they're at is, I hope they're never at my Twitter.
There it is.
So boys,
nice tie-in.
Boys, if you're listening, you got to hold that L.
Hold this L. The inevitable Patrick Mahomes contract. You're disputing that. You got to hold that L all day. Thank you for that, Clay. Trevor, who's holding this L, man?
For as many of you probably know, you watched some sports talk today on TV, and you saw Doug Gottlieb covering for Colin Cowherd's show. I know I'm gonna catch flack from people in the group of me being a LeBron homer or whatever or apologist. The guy said LeBron is not even top 10 in the league today, and then he went on to continue to say that LeBron might be top 10, top 5 all time. I mean, talk about pushing a narrative. And this guy is paid to be a TV personality and talk sports professionally, and says LeBron James is not even the dude that came back from a groin injury 9 games in is averaging a triple-double at 34 years old. Yeah, not top 10 in the league today. Sure, maybe not playing the best defense of his career. Sure, I'll admit that. But I mean, good God, man, hold this gigantic, veiny, pulsating L. You ignorant bastard.
Oh, that was great.
Hold this L.
Beautiful speech. I like it.
So much emotion in that one.
I'm so glad that's yours. I'm so glad that's your L this week because I texted Trevor today about this and he just laughed it off. I was legit pissed, dude. I'm like, look,
triggered.
You can debate on the greatest of all time. That's fine. You're going to be wrong if you say anyone other than LeBron, but just say, yes. So thank you so much for bringing him up because I didn't even want to even address it. I'm glad you did.
I had to.
So here we are. And this is actually a very easy one for me. And it's actually kind of a pathetic L. And the reason I say that is because it hasn't happened yet. And when it doesn't count. It's going to be a large ass L. I'm talking like caps lock L, 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 LL Cool J style. I'm talking, it's going to be that bad. Man. So, as I recall, the 2018 draft, there was a young quarterback that got passed up a few times. And his remarks were, when he finally got drafted, that the teams that passed on him are going to regret it. And we went on to have a horrific season, got hurt, team absolutely failed, and they currently have the number 1 pick in the draft. And they went and just signed a coach by the name of Cliff Kingsbury that is absolutely in love with one Kyler Murray. And there is a large speculation that Kyler Murray will be the number 1 pick in this draft. And I agree with that. I actually think he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft, which means that same quarterback that was telling all those other teams that they're going to regret passing on him is going to get traded. Josh Rosen, I'm looking at you right now,
Ooh.
and I hope you enjoyed your time in Arizona.
Oh, man.
Because you're about to get your ass traded, and Cliff Kingsbury is about to get his guy because you're not his guy. You're not his guy at all, in fact. He said before he even signed with the Cardinals that his number 1 pick would have been Kyler Murray. And what do you know? The Cardinals go off in an unorthodox, that's the word, went an unorthodox way and signed a guy that had a losing record in college as a head coach. So why would they stop there? Why would they stop with that way? Why not go get his guy, the same guy that signed with the same agent? Josh Rosen, I want you to do me a favor and hold this L because it's over for you in Arizona. That's it.
Well, good luck.
Drop the mic if I could. It's on a stand. I can't do it. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this show tonight. It was an absolute blast. Cannot thank my guy Clay Wendler enough for coming on. And Clay, I mean it when I say, man, whenever you want to come on, the invitation is there, dude. You can contribute to this whenever you feel like it. So for the producer part of it, man, that's invaluable. I mean, I can't put a price tag on that. Thank you so much, man.
Shout out.
My guys, Eddie Ortiz, Trevor, thank you guys so much for doing this with me as we talk sports, pretending like we know what we're talking about and giving people a product that they probably don't like, but they're, like, I got some time. Let's just kill with listening to these guys. So that's by far my favorite segment. I cannot wait every week, like all week long. I'm looking forward to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook's just The Spoken. It's a group, so just send your invitation. I'll add you in. The Spoken on Twitter is at The Spoken PC, and on Instagram it's The Spoken Podcast. You can follow me at Lance The Spoken. Trevor, give them your Twitter handle.
Treviathan89.
Eddie, what's yours?
At Ortiz816.
816. And Clay is at Clay Wendler. Definitely check them out, man. Give these guys a follow. Thank you so much for the support. We'd love to hear back from you guys. Let us know what you guys think of these podcasts so far. We're going to keep reeling them out, so we'd love to hear some feedback because that's what we're here to do. So in the meantime, thank you so much for Eddie Ortiz, Trevor Twidwell, Clay Wendler. I am Lance Twidwell. You've been listening to the Spoken Podcast at the Casey Beard Co. Studios. Until next time, we're out. We're going to get out of this bitch. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
See ya.
You are tuned into the Spoken.
I might actually stick around for a little bit.